Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing good.
Yeah.
Welcome back to another edition of the SeedTime Money Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Bob. This is Linda.
I'm Linda.
We are glad to have you here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And it's a good day.
Mm-hmm. We are looking out the window at palm trees right now because we are in Hawaii.
We don't have palm trees in Nashville.
No,
but it's our
I
final
wish.
day in Hawaii. And
I was talking to Bob about palm trees yesterday, and I was like, palm trees are like the universally known tree. Like every single person knows what a palm tree looks like. And it's so different from regular trees. And I just like that. I like that God was like, I'm going to make this one completely different from the rest of them.
yeah.
Every time I see something that it's like, one of these things is not like the others, I just am like, God just decided, you know what? This one's going to be different.
Well, yeah.
And I just like, and of course, every tree is different, but it's just so different.
We're going to be talking a little bit more about God's creativity today and some stuff. But
yeah,
today's episode is a little bit different in that it's completely based around an email that I got from one of you, amazing podcast listener, and she's got a really cool story that I just want to share and kind of pull out some pieces that I thought were really powerful and valuable and just cool, exciting stuff that God's doing, you know? So I guess just kind of getting into it, I'm going to read some of her emails. So her name is Allison, and she sent us this email about a week ago.
Hi,
or
Allison.
something.
She says she listens to the podcast. So hi, Allison. Thanks for emailing us.
Yeah, thanks for sending it over. And so she was the winner of our $2,000 giveaway last summer. Okay. So last summer we did a giveaway and we just finished one up for Christmas time. That was $1,500. And she won that $2,000. And I remember calling her and letting her know. And it was a fun conversation. And I asked her what she was going to get. And she said, I'm going to get a patio set. She'd been wanting this patio set for a long time. And so I got off the phone thinking, oh, that's cool. Like, you know, because every time we do a giveaway like this, we're praying that the right person would win and that God would direct it and God would make this part of a bigger story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because we're not just throwing money out just to throw it out. Like, we're genuinely interested in helping you in the SeedTime community move forward financially. And while we can't pick that, God can. And we go to random.org and it picks a number. And we're prayerful that He's orchestrating and creating this cool story in the background. And as you'll see in this email, it's kind of clear that that's what He was doing. Yeah. Because I thought, it's
not kind of clear.
I thought that was
crystal clear.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm just going to read you some pieces out of this. But she said, I was a winner of your $2,000 Amazon gift card this summer, which, by the way, we bought the new patio furniture. And we still have $1,100 in our Amazon account because I'm a saver. And so she said she's waiting for another big item that they want or need.
That's great.
And so it feels good to have that money sitting in an account. Yes, I agree. It'd be really fun having $1,100 sitting in your Amazon account.
Yeah.
Just waiting to be spent. So thanks again for your generosity. It was so fun to receive the blessing. She said, I love listening to your podcast. And a new one comes out. I'm excited to immediately listen to it. So maybe you'll be the first one to listen to this.
Maybe. That's awesome.
Said, I read your book and loved it. We've always been givers, especially at our local church, but your podcast and book opened our eyes to other possibilities of giving and how to make it more fun. Okay. So she said, this past year, since January 1st, I have kept a spreadsheet of our giving, what we call net given, just like you outline in chapter 26 of your book, including our giving to a local church, lunches for other people that we paid for, gifts, tips, etc. And she said, basically, we noticed that we gave way more than we ever have before, or at least our eyes were open to the amount like never before. It truly became fun to give and to be generous.
I love that.
And that is the whole point. That is why we do this. That's why we talk about this.
Because the Bible says that God loves a cheerful giver. So it's so exciting that it's like this just simple tweak in a rhythm that we choose to do, right? In tracking it, that it can make it so much more fun. It's like so easy. It's easy to do. And
it's fun for us because, again, like we experienced this years ago. We've been talking about it for years, and they put it in a book, like hoping that this translates and that other people feel this way. And it's just, again, it's great getting confirmation from people. Just
that
this
working.
idea that it is working, and it's not just us. We're not just the weirdos who are the only ones who it works for, But anyway, so she goes on. Let me get back in here. She said, okay. Yeah. So this is a really cool thing she did. She said, we also have a sidebar in our spreadsheet. So, alternative tab or something like that, for blessings that came to us unexpectedly and how God used us to bless others. Okay. I think
I
that's
love
really
this.
cool.
Yeah. And Bob and I were talking about it, and he was like, dang it, why didn't we think of this? Why
Well,
don't
it's
we
just
think of
such a
this
great
sooner?
idea.
It's such a good
And it
idea.
lines up exactly with what we're talking about. One of the other chapters in the book, we talk about blessing blindness and this
Mm-hmm.
idea of God is blessing us all the time, but so many of us are not looking for it, and therefore we don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
In this whole idea, and that's just the way it works. When you're not looking for something, you don't see it. And it's the red car thing. As soon as you start looking for a
Right.
car, as soon as you get this type of car, you see them all over the place.
Well,
You
and
know,
I'm really interested to do this exercise because right now we are staying in someone's home and they are letting us use their cars.
mm-hmm.
They did not charge us to do any of this. Like they were literally doing, what what we love to do, but it's funny when it happens back to us. I think it's a little bit hard for me to receive sometimes where I'm just like, is this okay? But like
Such a big blessing. Yeah,
open-handedly giving such a huge blessing to us and our family.
yeah,
Uh and this needs to go on that list for us
yeah.
because I don't know how much this would cost for us to rent a home for 2.5 weeks and rent cars for 2.5 weeks.
Yep.
And all the gear, the boogie boards and the towels and the,
Yeah. No,
the,
it's been a huge blessing. This is definitely something that would go on that list for us.
yeah.
So she goes on to describe a few different things. Okay, so she has this separate tab in her net given tracking sheet where she's counting all these blessings, which I love, 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 love.
Yeah.
Like, what a way to honor God. Like,
right.
by actually counting and highlighting the things that he's doing in your life.
Yes.
And we've done this on like a larger scale. Like we went back when we were doing a big interview. I think our first TV interview or something like that. It was a big interview on a big platform. And they asked us basically about a lot of the things that God had done in our lives. And we went back and did this exercise of like thinking through the last 15 years of the highlight reel. And when we did that, that was a fantastic exercise. Like just looking at those highlights, because it's like we kind of remembered them, but when you see it on paper, it's like, whoa, God is moving. Like when you start to doubt whether or not he's moved in your life.
It sounds like a movie. And anybody who's read the book can kind of see that, how it's like, man, this is such an amazing story. I am convinced that everyone has a story like that. Yeah. It's just that they're not looking back and reflecting on it to write it all down to see how all these pieces are working together.
Yeah. So the point is, we've done it on a higher level, but I love this more micro level of just making a running list of boom, blessing, 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 blessing.
Yeah.
And it reframes you from an attitude or reframes your mind and gets you more an attitude of looking for blessings and being grateful rather than what most of us default to is just the negative. Like, because that's just how our default pattern is. So many of us just default to negativity. But anyway, I want to read off some of the things she listed in her story here. Okay, so since January of last year, she said she wrote down a few different things. And I'm assuming there's more than this. She says, such as neighbors inviting us to Cancun in January and insisting that we don't pay for anything but our flights. Huge blessing. A local beef store accidentally sending us twice as much beef as we ordered. And then after calling them, they said, no need to send it back. Just enjoy it. Free airline flights to see our oldest daughter in Spokane. $2,000 Amazon gift card from us. That was part of that whole thing. Unexpected commission checks from their business. Yeah. And it sounds like there's a lot more. But those are just some of the things that she highlighted in all this. Okay. And so it keeps going. Okay. So she said, well, a huge God thing happened last week when my husband got an email stating that he would get a year-end bonus from work, which he usually doesn't get a year-end bonus. So it was a big surprise. He received it, which was a substantial amount, and I noticed that the amount was similar to we had given this past year. So I went to my spreadsheet, and sure enough, it was the same amount within $100.
That is crazy.
And then I thought, well, we will be giving another church check to the church next week, so maybe that was incidental because right after we do our year-end giving, it won't be the same amount. Okay. Then a confirmation occurred. I went to a shop in our small town, very part-time, and they had a Christmas get-together last Saturday.
She works at a shop. Oh, I'm sorry.
I work at a shop in a small
town.
Okay, sorry. It's really small. I'm having a hard time reading it. Um, and I think I'm starting to need glasses, y'all. Side note
No,
here.
I definitely need readers, and you can't see farther away. That's okay. Together we have 20/20 vision. How
There we
cute is
go.
that?
It's so
We're
good.
so cute
So
together.
good. Anyway, okay, so I work at a small shop or a shop in our small town, very part time, and they had a Christmas get together last Sunday. And at the end of the evening, the owner of the shop handed everyone an envelope. So I went home and opened it. Guess what? The amount she gave was the exact amount that we were planning to give to church the next week. So, dot, dot, dot. This week, we were giving back every dollar that we gave this year plus $100.
I mean, this is crazy.
The average person wouldn't think anything of this, but since we had giving metrics in place, it was evident that this was a God thing. I just had to tell you too, because you would understand and many people would not. We are blessed and humbled and will continue to give glory to God. So I love that.
This is just such a crazy story.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because if she would not have totaled what they had given or totaled what was given to them, they would never have known this and they would not have seen.
And God would not be getting nearly as much glory
Yeah.
from the random, I think God's kind of done some stuff this year. No, it's like you have it on paper. You've seen all the blessing of the Lord, all the things that he's done.
Exactly.
You have it down. And
you can't forget this. Like once you see the faithfulness of God, it makes it easier for you to just push forward in this area is because you know God's going to be taking care of you. And we've gone through this several times to where when we got to the point where you felt like the Lord was asking us to give our age as a percentage of our income. And everybody, whenever this comes up, people are like, well, what did you think, Linda? Because it was like Bob got the download and people immediately come to me and go, oh my gosh, what did you think? And I was like, I feel like I don't have that dramatic of a story to tell here and I almost feel bad because the truth of the matter is we had been through this so many times leading up to this that we had watched the faithfulness of God that it wasn't that difficult. And I mean, of course, there were some challenges. And of course, there was a little bit like, okay, well, this is a big stretch. Like there's some of those feelings, but it's not like we had nothing to go off of. It wasn't like this crazy leap because God had walked us up to that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's kind of like, learning how to swim. If you learn how to swim in increments, you go into a pool, or it's not like we're just going to send you scuba diving, just go, and we're going to flip you off in the end of the or the middle of the ocean, just figure it out. It wasn't that far of a jump for us. It was kind of like, well, we've been leading up to this point.
Yeah, but
I mean, so even though you're still like, okay, this feels a little new, this feels a little whatever, it's also you've been conditioned and prepared to get to that point.
Yeah, but I think it's also important to know, and I think we would agree that there are plenty of times where God asks us to step further than we think we are able.
Yes.
And requiring us to take a step of faith. It's like, I don't know if I have this, and there've been a lot of those things, but I think what you're saying is we didn't go from giving 1% to
or not giving it all
30%,
yeah well and I just want to, I think my big point is like, if you watch and see the faithfulness of God, it makes it easier to take those bigger leaps.
Yep
That's my whole
point.
So
good. Yeah. And so coming back to this, like, I love the idea. I just love that she gave and then got back, and we've just watched God do that so much. And I mean, if you've been around, that we're not the we're not like the 80s televangelist telling you, send us $100 and God's gonna send 100,000 next week. Like, that's just, it's not how we do. And I honestly, anyone who's doing that, I think, is just foolish to think that you can just manipulate God by like, we're gonna give him and trick him to give it back to us.
No.
Like you just can't do that. Like he knows our hearts. Like,
right.
so.
But he also does have the law of sowing and reaping.
Yeah.
That's
the point.
He's the one that set that in place.
Yeah. But he knows our hearts and he understands that. And so I love seeing the fruit of that action. And so in Allison's case here, I love watching how God just rewarded her faithfulness.
Yeah.
And
her and
did
her
that
husband's
work
faithfulness.
in their lives this year.
Yeah, that's super exciting. The other thing we were talking about, and I was just talking about the palm trees and how they're different. But so it's winter right now when we're recording this. It's December, and I saw this thing on Instagram, and it was like, this is what happened when I got a microscope or whatever and looked at snowflakes up close. And I sent it to Bob because I was like, this is amazing. And he was like, I'm skeptical. This isn't real. And so he went and started doing a little bit more research, and we're looking at, the intricacy of snowflakes, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to keep talking?
No, it's fascinating. Yeah. I was,
it's unbelievable.
I was skeptical because I'm looking at these images. I'm like, there is no way. Like,
they're perfectly symmetrical. Like some of the designs, I'm like, I've seen these in other places. The variances
are they're so different.
So different.
Like it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable when you actually look at them. Like do a Google search, on snowflakes up close and just look at some of these different images.
Because it's fascinating.
And I think the thing that's so crazy to me is God in all of his creative wonder and majesty has been doing this with snowflakes since the beginning of time, and yet no one saw it up until, I don't know, 100 years ago or whenever they created the first microscope to be able to do it. So all that beauty has been there this entire time. This creative expression just flowing out of him.
Well, and honestly, for us, it's like, how many times have we heard every snowflake is different? It's like, okay, one looks like a blob, the other one looks like a different type of blob, and that is not at all what they look like. I mean,
it's just fascinating.
It's fascinating. But I thought about that, and I'm like, you said, how many things is God doing like that in mass, creating this intricately beautiful thing that we can't see and therefore have no appreciation for?
Yeah.
And honestly, hearing Allison's story, I felt like is one of those things. Like, how many people's lives is he doing this in? And because we're not looking, we can't appreciate it and don't see how amazing it is.
Allison started looking.
And Allison,
she has this awesome testimony and story to share right now. And I love it. Yeah.
So anyway, this just got me really excited. And really excited because I'm like, we need to be tracking what we're given.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to do.
We can have this is a new thing.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Like add that separate tab to the sheet. And so, okay, so if you don't have the book, I think we've explained the concept well enough. The gist of this net given thing is we're tracking everything that we are giving, and we have been doing this since 2014 or 15, and it's been the main.
I think it was before that. Weren't we doing it?
Sorry, 2005. That's what I meant.
We've been married for a lot longer than that. Yeah.
The main point of it is, we decided that we want to measure financial success by what we give rather than by what we accumulate. And if that's the case, then we should make our number that we're tracking and that we're trying to increase the giving number.
Right.
And so it's like, we're not just trying to pat ourselves on the back. It's like, hey, we've given a whole bunch of money. We're really special, but it's something to chase after. If I'm going to chase after a number, I would rather chase after a higher number that we've given rather than the highest number I can in my bank account.
Right.
It just feels better to me, like to chase after that number. So that's what it is. And so net given is a way for us to track everything that we have given, to celebrate the money that God has dispersed through us.
Right.
That we've been vessels that allow it to flow through us. And anyway, so that's the gist of it. And so we have a sheet, seedtime.com/NG, no spaces. We talk about this in chapter 26 of our book, Allison mentioned, so you can read more about it there if you want.
I love that she knows the chapter. I wouldn't know the chapter if she hadn't mentioned it.
Simple Money, Rich Life is the book title, in case you're not aware. And anyway, so where's I going with all this? Like losing my train of thought.
We're tracking what
But
we're giving. I think you were just
yeah, so this is your takeaway. Like that is a great first step. But then add
yes.
to that, I love what Allison's doing. Let's get super detailed about tracking the blessings that are coming back,
Mm-hmm.
and counting those blessings.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
because that just makes us more aware. God gets more glory out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So
Yeah. And I'll just add this in too at the end because we were just talking to our kids about this in the car, but it was just Christmas. And every Christmas this happens, and I'm starting to have this like, wondering if children are not made for Christmas.
Christmas in the West,
Yes.
maybe.
And, hear what I'm saying, because I think we are definitely created to celebrate the birth of Jesus. I
Yeah,
know
that's not
that
where she's
there's
going.
that, yeah, I know that there's all kinds of conversations about, well, he wasn't actually born December 25th. Okay, I'm not here to have that discussion. What we have chosen in our family to do is celebrate it at Christmas time because
All right, get to your point.
anyway.
Move on. We'll save that debate for a different.
I'm not trying to
podcast
debate.
episode.
That's just what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay. But traditionally, we have done the what can we get them for Christmas thing. And the last few years, I mean, I almost am like, I hate Christmas because I watch our children go from like these sweet little angels. Okay, kind of. But, watch them go from who they are. And then all of a sudden they're like, put that on my Christmas list. I want this. I want that. When are we getting our presents? I want to open a present early. When can I have it? Why did she get that? That's not fair. Like all of a sudden it's like so much complaining. And this like greed comes out of them where I just am like, what the heck is this? Yeah. And I'm starting to wonder. I told them today, I was like, I think we're not going to do Christmas like normal anymore. And I think what I mean by that is not that we're not going to get them presents anymore, because I love blessing my kids. I really, really do. But I think I'm going to really focus as hard as I can on them, number one, not asking for anything. And number two, focusing on how they can give and benefit other people. Because what the Bible says is that it is more blessed to give than to receive. And I really actually think that that's true. And watching it from an outsider's perspective of like watching my kids' personality change based on whether or not they're going to get stuff has been really fascinating to watch. And I'm watching them be miserable in a season of us giving them so much.
Yeah.
And it's because they're focused on themselves. And I think that when we focus our lives on ourselves, it's a miserable way to live. This is why you can be filthy rich and be miserable, because you think, well, once I get that, that's going to make me happy. And this is what our kids are doing. I want these toys and that's going to make me happy. And then they get them and they're still not happy. And they're mad that somebody else got something different than them.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, the best way to combat that misery is actually to stop focusing on yourself so much and focusing on how you can bless other people.
Yeah.
And I think,
so we're trying to teach them that.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the point of what she was saying. Like, she was not giving to get anything. She was giving because she believes that this is the best way to live life. Whether that is because it, gets your mind off of yourself, what I'm saying, or if she just believes that this is the highest calling in life, is to live my life for other people and be a servant and give to others. However she got there, it doesn't matter. The fact is that she did it, and then she watched God use that and make sure that she was taken care of and blessed, not even just taken care of. Like, she got to go to Cancun for free, basically. She had to pay for a flight to get out. Her and her husband had to pay for flights to get out there, and then they just did nothing else. I mean, that's such a huge blessing. It's not just like, oh, well, all your bills are paid. Like, it's on top of, her bills being paid. Yeah. Anyway, I know that's kind of a tangent, but I just think that the more we can focus on giving, actually, the more fulfilled and enjoyable and happy our lives will be.
Yeah.
That was
Amen.
what that whole thing was to do. It's just interesting watching it happen to my kids instead of myself.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Absolutely.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, completely. So, anyway, all right. Well, hopefully this is an encouragement to you because this is our God. This is what He does.
Yeah.
He's not a respecter of person. So, I encourage you to, start tracking your net giving if you're not doing that. Tracking your giving, track the blessings that come back. Watch what He does in your life. And again, grab our sheet if you want to do that. SeedTime.com/NG. And share us with somebody who needs it.
Yeah.
And if you wouldn't mind leaving us a review on the iTunes store, it would be a blessing as well. Thanks for coming to hang out live, everybody who's here. And we will see y'all next week. Take care.
All right, we want to know if you've heard about our flagship class called True Financial Freedom.
Yeah, and if you haven't, it's more than just a money class. It's really about fulfilling your God-given purpose, breaking free from hidden money beliefs, and making a lasting impact.
Yeah, and we've gotten feedback from students, and they've said things like, it is the first class I've taken where at the end of each session, I felt equipped and not burdened.
Yeah, and it's less theory and more realistic action steps and guidance.
We've also heard it felt like a conversation with friends, which is awesome.
Yeah, and it encouraged me in ways I didn't think I would ever experience.
This class is on demand, and it's designed for churches and small groups as well as individuals. And you can get all the details at seedtime.com/TFF.